Hello, hello. Currently, in the world of chess, something very exciting is happening. In fact, it's so exciting that for the first time in 2 years, I want to do chess videos on YouTube. So hopefully, you will share my passion for what I'm going to talk about next, and you also might even learn something about chess. So, at the moment in Toronto, Canada, we have the candidates tournaments, and the candidates tournaments for men and women have 8 players in each of them who are competing to win the tournament and earn the right to challenge the world champion, which is a very tough tournament because really it has some of the best players in the world. So most content creators, and of course some of the best content creators, will cover mostly the men's tournament, which features some of the best grandmasters in the world. But I personally, as being from Bulgaria, am very excited that there is a representative at this highest level of chess from my country, and it might shock to the people who don't watch chess that often that the player's name is not Vasilin Topalov. In fact, the name is Nurgyul Salimova, who is the youngest contender in the females candidates tournament. She earned that right by finishing second in the World Cup last year, which was an absolutely amazing performance. Not only she's the youngest, but also she is the lowest rated in the tournament. She is number 36 in the world at the moment, but also she has been going up and up and up in the last few years, which means that hopefully she'll put out a serious challenge and, in my opinion, can be the dark horse of this tournament. So what I'm really excited about is Nurgyul's performance and how she's going to do over the next several weeks. The tournament means every player plays each other, one time with the white pieces and one time with the black pieces, so we'll have 14 games per player. So I'm very excited to see if Nurgyul can really challenge the elite women players, since from the top 8 we have 6 players in the tournament, and just her and Vaishali from India are outside of the top 10, Vaishali being 15th, and as I said, Nurgyul 36th. So very exciting to be the outsider, but also someone that also the chess world is very excited about. I've seen numerous commentators like Nurgyul's games and analyze them in a lot of detail, and I do think that her style is very exciting, so I love her chess, as well as the fact that she's from Bulgaria as well. In the first round last night, she played Muzychuk from Anna Muzychuk, I must say, because also her sister is very good at chess as well. Someone who I really like as well. I follow Anna's YouTube channel, and I do think she's a great player. But of course, I'm rooting for Nurgyul, and I just flipped the board because I wanted to see the game from the perspective of Nurgyul, which is the black pieces in this game. So I'll try to quickly go over the game, not keep it too complex. First of all, because personally, of course, me being rated about 2100 on chess.com, I don't understand some of the ideas, but I wanted to take you through this game. A little bit of an anticlimactic forward is that Nurgyul herself described this game as a calm game, which means that there weren't many chances. And when I looked at the game, and you can already see that it finished in a draw, I agreed with her, but still I thought there is a couple of moves that are very interesting ideas that I wanted to go over it. But to me, it was amazing that both players had over 98% accuracy. So let's look into the game. Muzychuk started with e4, and we have e5, and after knight f3, Nurgyul decided to go into the Petrov defense, also known in a lot of especially the Slavic-speaking world as the Russian game. So a symmetric opening, both players targeting each other's pawns on the e file. And then there are two main moves, taking the pawn on e5, but Muzychuk decided to play the Steinitz attack, which means developing the pawn to d4. Nurgyul took the pawn and got immediately threatened. Her knight got threatened by bishop to d3, so she protected the knight with d5. The pawn on e5 was still undefended, of course, so now Muzychuk recaptures and regains her pawn, and Nurgyul develops another piece, threatening the knight and also being able to waste another tempo by Muzychuk by forcing her to take this knight and developing her bishop as well. So things are very even from this opening and also quite symmetric, which means that there aren't many chances for tactical tricks at the moment. Nurgyul developed her bishop as well to d6 in preparations for a castle in several moves. And here I was a bit surprised. I thought that the next move is not the most popular, but it is the second most popular, developing the knight to c3, allowing Nurgyul to capture it, and then to kind of damage a little bit the white pawn structure. From a computer point of view, and as you can see by the bar on the left hand side, this is completely fine for white. Still things are very equal, just as they have been from the beginning of the game. But personally, I would have gone with the most popular move in this position, which is just to develop to c4, challenge the d5 pawn, and kind of keep things not ruined from the perspective of pawn structure. Nevertheless, we have knight c3, knight takes c3, and b takes c3, and now Nurgyul is able to castle. So now came the first move that might elicit a mistake from Nurgyul, and if you notice on the left hand side of the window, we see also the time. So both players started with 90 minutes, and Nurgyul has wasted more time so far. But still, none of them are really in any serious time trouble. So we have Queen h5, which directly, of course, threatens checkmate, something that I doubt Nurgyul would fall for ever. But the point is how to defend in the best way. One of the ways is to block the bishop's way by playing g6. Another one is to play h6 and block the queen from getting to the king. But both of these moves allow the capture of the pawn, so of course at the highest level players will not make a mistake like that. And Nurgyul played something that's a little bit more difficult to see if you're a beginner or intermediate, which is f5. Of course, blocking the bishop, but also blocking the queen's way to this free pawn. The game continues with rook b1 and attacking the pawn down the line on b7. Nurgyul moves it, of course, in order to protect it. And then we have rook to e1. So of course Muzychuk is trying to capture these big open files and semi-open files here to allow more scope for her rooks. Nurgyul played c6, a very important square, which in hindsight at first I didn't see why she played it, but she played it relatively quickly. So of course it's not so obvious at first, but she wanted to have some free space for her queen. And when you see the next move of Muzychuk attacking the queen with the bishop at g5, you see why this is happening. So now we have queen to the newly freed square c7 and c4. Finally, Muzychuk challenges this pawn on d5. And Nurgyul plays a move before taking the pawn, which is to kick out the queen on h5. A nice move to alleviate a bit the pressure that she was dealing with on the king side. Close to her king, we have both bishops with relatively good scope and the queen staring at the king. So the queen moves to f3. h3 was another alternative, but f3 keeps the queen a bit more centralized and is definitely one of the best moves. And then we've got Nurgyul taking the pawn. So takes a d4, retakes from Muzychuk with a check, and Nurgyul here decides that it's best to not move her king, but actually defend with the bishop, and the bishops are quickly exchanged. So the next idea with Muzychuk, who has already played 17 moves, and we're still in theoretical games, even there is a game between Shirov and Kramnik, some of the legendary male grandmasters up to this point. Muzychuk tries h3 in order to keep developing and start some sort of development on the king side that will put further pressure to Nurgyul's king. And Nurgyul plays a very interesting move, f4. So this is one of the moves that I like because I would never think about it. I would probably think to get my other rook in the game or offer some sort of exchange, or maybe perhaps move my queen here in order to add extra protection to the pawn and further pressuring maybe this weak pawn. But anyways, Nurgyul plays f4, which is a very committal move, and we'll see later why she played that. Retreat to h4 from Muzychuk. And we have a move that here chess.com's engine calls a mistake. I don't think it's actually a mistake. If you look at the computer bar, it goes from 0.1 for Nurgyul to, okay, plus 0.5 for Muzychuk. So indeed, it's not the best move, but I would call it probably an inaccuracy. The best move here is actually to go queen d7. Again, this has a hidden attack here on this pawn. And also, it's not so obvious what white should do next. Like, there are not that many moves that they can do. The best line for white is to go queen b3 after that, and from there to keep developing and to, in this case, pin the rook, etc. But in any ways, I see why Nurgyul played this move. It defends the pawn on g7 and also opens a bit of scope for the queen, so I have absolutely no problems with such a move. Next, we have rook to e6. So this is one of the first moves where it really penetrates the enemy half from Muzychuk. And here we have rook to c8. Basically, with rook e6, we had a double attack on this pawn, and now we have two defenders on it. So this is the reason why Nurgyul played rook to c8. Another c4. So the good thing about the earlier doubling of the pawns on the c5 is that you can play c4 again. And here we see Muzychuk taking advantage of this resource. Nurgyul made a double attack of her own, attacking the rook and the pawn with queen d7. And now we have queen to e4, centralizing the queen and taking care of all the threats just created. And here was the move that even made me want to do this video, just because I thought out of 10,000 times that I have this position, I would never play it because I'm just not 2400 FIDE rated. I'm 2100 chess.com rated. So I would play here some boring move, maybe try to do something on the queen side, or like offer some exchanges or something, I don't know. But I would have not have ever thought that this move, queen, I'm drawing worse arrows than Hikaru, queen to e4 allows f3. That's not a move that I would consider, and the engine thinks it's the best move. It's also the only move that allows some counterplay. So far, Nurgyul has had not any chances to attack really the white king. She hasn't been in trouble because she's defended really well, but this is the first time that she asks some serious questions of Anna. So f3, and here we see that the engine suggests bishop to g3 to retreat, add extra cover for the king, and also open on this nice diagonal where it might cause further trouble. Instead, she put rook to e1, which the engine didn't particularly like, but doesn't mind either. And now we have f3 takes g2. Now the bishop is put on g3, and with rook d7, again the players are moving around, a little bit of maneuvering here, and here Nurgyul really has to play rook to e7 because any other move would allow further further advances in the center for the white, which is not a good idea in this case for black. So we have the best move, again, rook to e7, and some sort of liquidation. The one pair of rooks and queens are gone off the table, so things are looking even more drawish than before. And basically, we are getting into an endgame. Interestingly, here we have, just to show you, here we have the only time in the game where Nurgyul actually had the slightest advantage, 0.2 according to the computer. Of course, this is still a very equal game. But if she played bishop to f6 and challenged that bishop on g3, challenged for that diagonal that currently the white bishop was controlling, we see that that is the only way that she could potentially maybe make some dent in the position if Muzychuk was too straightforward in exchanging the bishops. Basically, black's position is slightly better here in terms of pawn structure. We have more connected pawns on the king side, and generally a little bit better pawn structure. But Nurgyul Salimova did not find that move. Instead, she went to develop her king with king f7, and as this happened, basically in a few moves the game would end in a draw, since it is dead even. None of the sides can make really further progress. The pawns are not advanced enough on each side to pose a serious threat. So after an exchange of pawns, the two players decided to do a quick repetition style draw, where Muzychuk checked Salimova's king a few times, and they decided that they don't want to risk it. So the game ended in a draw on move 40 of all moves. So they managed to reach the time control as well, and with lots and lots of time to spare. So what we see here is that Nurgyul's comment on this being a calm game is indeed very accurate, and I think that's really good performance. Again, she is the lowest ranked player here. Muzychuk is in the top 10 of the world, ranked like 100 points higher than her, I believe, or so. Maybe more like 80, but still a big difference. And also she played with the black pieces, and it is her first game and this super highest possible level, which means that she doesn't have the experience. Many of these other players that she will face in the next few rounds have been here a few years ago in the previous candidates tournaments and have challenged for really the crown of female chess, whereas it is her first time in such an event. So I would say that's a very positive start. She's playing tonight against Lee, I believe, who lost her first game and who is the vice world champion from the last match of World Champions. So a very tough opponent, but someone who is wounded after losing the first game. So I'll be definitely tuning in and checking out that game, and hopefully I can provide with some analysis on that tomorrow. Thank you, and yeah, please check out the World Cup. Check out Nurgyul's performance. I'm going to be rooting for her, and I'm going to be spamming my friends at least. Even if 2 people watch this, I'll be happy because I'm really excited about this tournament. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, and bye.